Okay, so can you guys hear me? Am I audible? Great, great. Okay, so I hope you guys are doing great. Today we are going to have a session on how to build a questionnaire. So before we get started, I just want to give a quick introduction about us and then get to know you guys better. So let's get started. So you all know, I think most of you all know that we run a page on Instagram called Data Analyst Duo, which is run by my husband and myself. Both of us work as senior statistical analyst at Comscore, and both of us have done MSc in statistics. I have also done MBA in marketing, and I've also done my PG in AI and ML. So, why are we here? We are here because we are and data enthusiasts who are crazy freaks about statistics. We love to teach. We love to share our experience with budding data analysts, and not just data analysts. We love to spread our love for statistics for others, and that's the reason we have also started a new page called has Statistics Decoded, and where you will see much more different side of us, where we are getting into deep statistical concept in our in general real content. So this is little bit about us. About me, I have around 5 years, 4 to 5 years experience into analytics. I have been a decade long student of statistics. I've also completed my bachelor's in statistics. So it's been a long journey of learning statistics. I have worked across domain for medicine. I have worked in domain of FMCG. I have worked in domain of automobile, and right now I am doing audience measurement. Basically, just trying to figure out how to calculate audience on any OTT platform, on desktop, on mobile. Just trying to get to know the users better to help media planning. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Before we get started, I would like to know, where are you guys from? I see some familiar names. I know Sheetal, I know Ambika. What about others? Um, where are you guys from? Which city are you guys from? Okay, great. Kanpur. What about others? Okay, we have people from Kerala, Chennai, Bangalore. I have some friends in Chennai. So nice. I have relatives in Bangalore. So amazing. That's great to know. So here's the thing, guys. What we are gonna have is do one situation where I want you guys to be active on the chat. Okay, so that I know you guys are following. Um, I'll just move ahead and I'll just ask you guys one question before we go ahead. Have you ever created a questionnaire before? And your options are yes, many times, yes, once or twice, no. Okay. What about others? Okay. Mm-hmm. I see many of you have not created. Some of you have created many times, and some of you have hardly created. Okay. We'll talk about questionnaire a lot, and I'll also emphasize why this might be something which is relevant to you. Okay. So what you just did is what a survey is. Somebody asks you a question, you give a response, and now I have a data that says that majority of the people attending right now have never created a questionnaire, right? Except one or two guys who have created maybe once or twice, but most of you guys have not created questionnaire. So what happens is this questionnaire uh, turns into a data, and then an analyst who can understand this data can interpret. So now, as a speaker, I'm able to interpret and understand, okay, now the 12 folks that are in my class, and the people who are going to see this session online, maybe they are new to this topic altogether. So I can pick up my pace accordingly, right? So let's talk about what are the agenda for today's session. We want to understand how to define a clear purpose for for the questionnaire, choose the right question type for the goal. We want to understand what should be like, how should we design a logical flow to the questionnaire, how to avoid some common mistake that can lead to bad data when it comes to questionnaire. Then what is pre-testing, refining and preparing for the analysis ready results, and then doing some hands-on drafting of questionnaire. Now here's the thing. Now, this hands-on part is going to go as we go along. There is a small example. So, as I'm teaching each topic and we are progressing into understanding how to create a questionnaire, I'm going to stick to one example and show you how, for this example, each steps can be done. Okay. So, that's the plan. So before we get started, I just want to quickly tell you guys what a questionnaire is and why it should be important. Okay. What is a questionnaire? Like, just read the question on the right. Um, a questionnaire is basically a list of questions that is asked to an user. You guys must have filled feedback form. I think in lifestyle, the moment you are at the counter making the payment, they'll ask you how was your experience, good, bad, satisfactory, not. So that kind of information that's collected, that's a question. So questionnaire is a structured set of questions designed to collect information from people for specific purpose. The purpose could be for the research purpose, to get the feedback, to get the evaluation of whether some service, like to understand that or to help make decision. So that's the main idea of questionnaire. Now, why should you care about this topic? Even before I start, can you guys give me a little background about you? Like, why are you here in this session? Why are you here? Are you a student? Are you a working professional? Are you someone who is looking for transition? Can you guys give me some idea about your background before we go ahead? First of all, what do you guys do? Okay. So Riddhi says she's a working professional looking for transition. What about others? Okay. Nancy is a recent graduate. Okay. Got it, Sheetal. Final year graduate. Got it. Recently graduate or working professional. Okay. So we all are like kind of freshers. I would assume most of you could be from 0 to 3 years experience, and most of you are looking for transition right now. Pursuing masters in economics, that's amazing. That's amazing. You will have little bit of statistics there. So that's amazing. So here's the reason why you should care about this topic. I'm going to convince you why this is an important topic, right? So the first thing is, have your own unique project in the saturated market. Most of you are looking for transition. And to transition, you have to acquire skill. And once you acquire skill, you want to prove to the recruiter that I am good. So for that, to prove the recruiter that you're good, you end up creating something called as project portfolio, or you end up doing project in each topic you learn. Now, when you are doing a project, your project, most of the time, most of the courses are going to have project that is too saturated. That is a project that's done like thousands of time by other people. So when you create your own project in the saturated market, it gives you an edge eventually, right? So here's the thing. Recruiters see hundreds of identical resume every day. They know what everyone is doing. They have an idea that, okay, this project I saw 10 times in 10 different resume. So what happens is, you blend out. If you are going to create a project which is as common, like for example, sales dashboard in a Power BI, just done too many times, right? So if you're going to show a very bare minimum sales dashboard on a Power BI, Nobody's going to care because there were 10 other people who did the same. Or if you're going to show your Python skills or your analytics skill using Titanic data set, nobody cares. Thousands of people have done that. Or if you're going to show like customer segmentation in Excel, nobody cares again. This is again a topic that's done 10,000 times. So you'll see that there are these projects that's just done too much, and you need something unique to stand out. And in that case, Art of Knowing Questionnaire can help you. And I'll explain why. First of all, not only just questionnaire, but when you are creating a project and you want to stand out, you want to use a data which not everyone is using, right? You can get your data from fresh resources. You can do web scraping. There are so many websites. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watch football. Football lovers have a particular app on their phone, on the website that they visit online, where a quick summary of player is there, like in this league which are the team playing, what position they are at, what is the position number, are they ranking one, two, three, how many goals have they scored, uh how many matches have they played. So do you guys know, even for cricket there are such applications, there are such website where such summaries are put, where people quickly go and view it. Now you can use those summary, do web scraping and get a fresh data out of it, right? So in this way the data source is fresh, the data is the most latest one, and you are also having unique data, right? Nobody else is going to that website, getting that data, trying to create their own project and analyze. So web scraping, live data feed, sometimes some data are loaded in live format, so getting data in that. Then tackle niche problem relevant to today. So if you get a data which is first hand, which is unique to you, and you also tackle a very niche problem. For example, just analyze everyone's Spotify playlist. Like at least amongst your friends, just get to know what are they listening to, what is the top genre. Just analyzing Spotify playlist. Now think about it. If in your resume on your portfolio, if there's a unique topic like this, so recruiters are going to be interested. Then mapping EV charging station accessibility, understanding where all EV charging station is there in entire Maharashtra or entire Karnataka or entire Tamil Nadu. You're going to get an idea of that, right? Then show an end-to-end thinking from data collection, that is questionnaire, to insights, uh, and showing visualization. Now, here's the thing, you also have an option to do a project end to end, where you would be the one who are defining the problem statement, you are the one collecting your own data, and you are the one who is analyzing and presenting. Okay, and why I advocate for this one, why I think this is like very important, and this is where questionnaire comes into picture. Like if you have a problem in your mind and you do not have data on internet, you cannot do web scraping, you don't find a good data set on Kaggle, you don't find a good data set on any other website, what do you do with that problem? Okay, so in that case you can have your own questionnaire and go and ask people and collect your own data, and in that way you have a unique data set to yourself. And I'm not just saying because it's there, but it's because I did my first project using this method. Okay, so my first project for my first job was just one project, which was huge, which was divided into 5 project objective. It was like, I remember the detailed version of that project was this thick of a book, like some 200 pages of return research work on just one topic. And in that, I used multiple tools. It was not just like I did it in Python, I did it in Excel, I did it in SAS or R. I used multiple tools. I collected my own data. And back then, the project that I worked on was e-wallet applications. Back then, Google Pay, Paytm were very new and were booming in India. So I just try to understand what are people's perception with these application. What do they think about this application? And then later, I also deep dived into some applications that are created by government, which is for other purpose. So basically, more about mobile application, focusing little bit on government-based application and e-wallet application. So that got me my first job, and that got me my first job, and not only that, it just needed one project which was unique to me. Till today, apart from my group, so this was a group project that I did, like with my friends. So we went out in Mumbai University campus and just sat there with a questionnaire and filled like 1,000 respondents, like among how many, six of us. And all of that, everyone got a job through that one single project. So there's no just one way to do a portfolio, right? You can do it however you want. You have that freedom. So knowing the art of writing a questionnaire can help you if you're truly interested and passionate to create a very unique project portfolio for yourself. um, yep. The next one is do project of your area of interest. Now, here's the thing. If you are a sports fan, you can create a questionnaire for the fans' viewing habit, favorite format, like what type of format do they like? Do they like T20? Do they like test match? Do they like, seasonal stuff like others? Certain other, like probably they like to see younger age group, probably they like to see matches for older age group, whatever it is. Just understand what is their favorite format of watching that sport. Also understand how do they watch. When they're watching cricket, are they scrolling their phone? Just understanding what level of engagement, all of that. If that level of data is not available it's not available on internet, you have an option to create a questionnaire and collect your own data for that, right? So if you're a foodie, you can create a questionnaire understanding what are the dining preferences, review habit, factor that influences someone to give a rating. So what makes you rate? Okay, if I ask you right now, when did you last did a Google rating for a restaurant? What led to that? I can for sure tell you there could be three main factors. One factor could be that your experience was terribly bad, you left a Google review. The other factor could be your experience was so damn good that you left a review. The other would be a staff came to you and said, "Can you please mention my name in the Google review?" And you left, and they left a review. So what happens is when you leave, there are factors that are influencing your restaurant rating also, right? So understanding those factors can help business owners, right? That can help the restaurant owner. So, you can go to a restaurant owner and say, this is the data I analyze. I think if you want to improve your restaurant rating, you should focus on this XYZ, right? So that can be done. If you're a marketing enthusiast, you can design a questionnaire online to understand what is the ad recall. Now, suppose what is an ad recall? I don't know how many of you are from marketing background, but the moment an ad is shown to you, how much you have ability to remember it. That's an ad recall, right? Click behavior, whether an ad is running and you clicked, purchase decision, right? Now, for example, who are these people who click? Now, we have 100 signups for this FYI. We are just, what, 14 of us, 15 of us. But the truth is, there were 100 sign up for this. Now, what made there would have been like 500 people who clicked on the link which I shared on our story. There would be 100 people who registered, and then there are these 15 people who came for the session. So what happened? There was a funnel, no? So you can study each step. What happened? How did I reach there? Why did you not come? Why did they come? What was the reason? So you can understand the behavioral pattern in terms of marketing, right? So even that can be done. Next is you know what happens is when you do something of your area of interest, when you really love food and you create a project on food, you are going to show a different level of enthusiasm during the interview. And this happened with me because why? Because back then e-wallet application used to give a very good cashback, and my friend had got like 1,000 rupees cashback, and we were all college students. We didn't have a whole bunch of money, so what we used to do is we used to look for so many coupons and offers online on any application, so that when we go out as friends, um, we have like some good discount on the bill. So we were so passionate about these e-wallet application and all these applications providing discount in the restaurants and giving good cashbacks that we used to very excited to share it when even during the presentation, even during the interview. So you show a level of enthusiasm and interest in the data set, which I am sure you won't when you do a Titanic data set, right? So here's the thing, you don't have to rehearse the line, you don't have to by heart what is your project statement. Everything would come from a genuine passion. And yep, so this is another reason why you should create a questionnaire. I already spoke about this. You create questionnaire because you want to collect your own data from based on exactly what is your want, your need. And not always it's going to be available in the format you want. So when you create a questionnaire, you get data in that format you want, right? So um, one more example, if you're a gym enthusiast, why not analyze what is the workout frequency amongst your gym buddy, understand what is their nutrition habit, what are their goals, why are they coming to gym, why are they not coming to gym, how many times have they quit gym, what is leading to quitting of the gym. So right, so many things you can study. So yeah, have I convinced you that this topic is not that boring? Have I convinced you guys enough that this topic is important for you? Yes, no? Okay. Is everyone convinced? Okay. I really hope there's no one thinking like this will not make sense, because it does, right? Um, okay. So now that I have introduced myself, got to know you guys, said that I've convinced you that this topic is important, which no matter what I do in a 1 minute reel, it cannot be, right? So now that we all are on the same page, let's get started with the learning. Now, we all are graduate, most of us are, we are in final year, you know, everyone has certain level of education already done. So I don't have to teach you how to write a question, right? I don't have to tell you what is a questionnaire, or you have a basic understanding because you must have yourself come across many questionnaires in your lifetime, right? But what I will tell you is how to make questionnaire impactful for your own purpose, okay? So here's the thing. The first step is to define your purpose. Okay. Now what we are gonna do is understand how this works, then take an example, and then think how we can work around if we have our own idea. Okay. Now let's take an example. Suppose you have a broad idea. So what you have to do, you have an area of interest. Say for example, you really like makeup. So that's your area of interest, okay? Now, in makeup, what is your exact issue? For example, very recently when I got married, I first time purchased certain makeup, correct? Last year I purchased first time certain makeup. So what happened that time is I didn't know how to use few things. And the moment I started seeing YouTube and certain influencers, I couldn't find a good Indian influencer teaching anything which made sense. I don't know. I went to some US channel, other channels. So what happens is for me, there is a journey, correct? So you what you have to do is you think about your own problem. Now, if today, if I have to ask, okay, makeup is your area of interest, but how would you study that? So I would study what are the problems that men or women face when they are actually starting out makeup. What are the influencer they are looking at, what are the makeup products they are purchasing, what are the brands that is more easier for them to purchase, what are the brands that they are not able to purchase because they just don't know what these brands are making, what are the brands they are aware about, what is their most favorite brand. So what happens is the pain point that you have of your passion or your area of interest, you can put that into a project. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, right? So you will always have a broad idea. In that broad idea, what I want you to do is be specific. Okay, once you have a broad idea, oh, that's amazing. Um, Chirag, so that's great. So here's the thing. Once you have a broad idea, you narrow down to a very specific project objective, okay? And then you think about what questions can you ask, right? So how will you create a project objective? Your project objective needs to be very specific. What are you tapping at? For example, the problem that I was saying about the makeup right now, I'm tapping to people who are beginners in makeup. Okay. So that kind of question that some experts might not, some questions will not be, relevant for the experienced makeup artist or people like that. So what you need to do is you need to be very specific who you're reaching out to. Okay. So level one is to be broad. Level one is to vaguely say that, probably this is my interest. The moment you get into saying that I want this specific information, you need to make sure that you are not vague. You need to make sure that what you're asking for is measurable, right? Next, you need to make sure that you can link it to an action. Then you want to test it. For example, how do you test a question? You ask it to yourself. Now, what we'll do is we'll take an example and understand these points. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Do you guys ever have you guys ever done thrift shopping? Do you know what is the concept of thrifting? Ever heard about this word thrifting? Thrift shopping. What is thrifting? Thrifting is basically giving life to something which was supposed to be thrown away, right? So, for example, there could be a minor defect of a very big designer brand, a minor defect in the top, maybe just printing happened double time, but still the aesthetic looks good, can be worn, but it's not up to that mark. Probably a button was stitched 2 centimeter away from where it was supposed to be stitched. So that cloth is thrown out, but that can be worn. Or somebody owned a particular clothing item, they no longer need it, but someone else can still wear it. It's still wearable, but it just somebody doesn't want to wear it. So instead of throwing it in the garbage, you repurpose that particular item. That is called as thrifting. Okay. Most of the street shopping that we do, yes, Nancy, stuff which is pre-owned or rejected can be reused. So most of the street shopping that we do are mostly thrifting, right? So we all have done thrifting sometime in our lifetime, still do it for certain reasons. So suppose thrifting, now thrifting is one of the area that I am pretty interested in. Meaning just for doing a project, I really want to know what people think about thrifting. Because I've seen two kind of people in my life, okay? Someone who thinks like thrifting is the way to go, and some people who are totally against thrifting. So pretty interesting area. Now I have this broad idea. The next idea is to refine this objective little bit. So what I do is I am like, I want to really understand why consumer choose thrift store over traditional retail. Okay. This is my second layer. So what happened is first I had a broad idea. I narrowed it down to a much more specific idea. You know what? I want to understand why are people choosing thrifting. Now next is, but why are people choosing? In that why, you're trying to be more specific. So, what you came up with, I want to aim for creating a questionnaire that identifies the key motivation, preference, and shopping pattern of thrift store consumers. So, people who are thrifting, I want to understand who are they. I want to understand what leads them to do a thrifting. I want to understand what is their preference. I want to understand the shopping pattern. And I also want to understand what are they, why are they doing it? Are they more price sensitive? Are they looking for sustainable option, or are they looking for something unique? So why are people thrifting? So why do people thrift? At least from what I know, it could be because thrifting is slightly cheaper, so they are pretty price sensitive, or these guys are very much they really think that sustainability is important. Now, thrifting is a very good way of making sure that, it's a good way of making sustainable decision for our planet. Okay, something that could have gone in garbage is now being used. It's a good thing, correct? Um, the other thing is there are just some folks who wants to wear multiple clothes every time. You can't be buying so many new clothes all the time, right? So people who really want stuff which are unique and want to keep changing their style, want to keep changing their home decor, want to keep changing their what bed sheets, they opt for thrifting as well, right? So there could be multiple things that are focused. Now, what I did is I started from a broad idea, but now I have a very specific objective in front of me. So, do you guys see how you need to transition your thought to a refined objective and then to the final purpose that can be quantified? Now, for example, I can study the motivation, okay? I can have an idea on what are people motivated, why are people doing thrifting. Even if I don't know anything about thrifting, say for example, there is this person who has no idea what is thrifting, so they can go to one or two friends, understand, hey, why are you thrifting? Then that friend can give them an insight, and then you can create a questionnaire. Sometimes you just don't know enough, right? So you cannot create a questionnaire if you don't have knowledge about thrifting. So you can have your own research before creating questionnaire as well. So now what happens is preferences can be quantified. You can ask people, why do they you prefer this shopping pattern? You can understand how many times are they shopping. All of these can be put into a question. So do you understand how a transition can be done from top to bottom? Will you guys now be able to create your own problem statement if asked? If you spend like 30 minutes, 20 minutes on a problem, can you create a statement till this level now? Right? Okay, great. Cool. So, see, we have to arrive at a statement like this. Okay, your questionnaire should have an objective. Only then will you not divert and ask unnecessary question. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, now here's the thing. Your data in questionnaire can be of two form. Okay, one is um it the output. The question can have two types of output: one where your data is quantitative, one where your data is qualitative. For example, if you're having a deeper conversation with someone, okay, say you're having a very deep conversation about what do a person thinks about taking therapy. Okay, now this type of questioning, there is something called as qualitative study. There's also a type of questioning that's done, which I'm sure most of you might have not experienced, but this happens a lot, where it's more about conversation. Okay, where you're trying to understand what are people saying. So I'll sit with you, I'll be like, have you ever been to therapy? Then you'll say something. No, I haven't been. Okay, why haven't you been to therapy? Then you will say, okay, this was the reason. I don't think I need it. I think this, that, and I don't even know where to go, whether it's safe to go. And then I'm like, why do you think it's not safe to go? So what's happening is, in this type of questioning, there are two aspects. One is your answer is open ended. I am not restricting you about what you have to answer or what you not have to answer. Your answers are a paragraph. It's open ended, right? So there's no structure to it. It's giving some deep insights, but at the same time, it's slightly difficult to analyze at the end. Suppose you have thousands such answers of why people are not going to therapy. How will you sit and analyze it? So it's a challenge to analyze it, but with with AI and AI models, you can very quickly these days analyze even such kind of data. But nonetheless, coming back to the point that there are questions whose output is open ended. There are surveys that only have these kind of questions, and they're not even like structured. It's not even like first question is this, second is this, third is this, fourth is this. It's more about conversation. So interviewer here is a little psychology expert as well. So people who have ever done market research will know that there are some studies called as qualitative studies in which there are unstructured way of asking questions. Now I do understand for your purpose you might ask one or two open-ended questions where there is no specific option one, two, three. But it might not be that you are full-fledged going to a qualitative study. So you don't have to worry about it, but you can have certain questions which are open-ended. And then there are questions which are, measurable, like how many times do you shop online per month? 5 times, 4 times. So these are options that can be either number coded like 1, 2, 3, 4, or can have a numeric response. So that's quantitative data. Okay. It's more structured. It's easy to analyze. It is ready to use. So yeah, before we start, yeah. So this is about very basic of how an answer would be for a question. Any questions till here? Are you guys following whatever I'm saying? Are you guys following whatever I'm saying? Shweta, are you following? Faiz, are you following? Franco, are you following whatever I'm saying till now? So I have habit to randomly just ask people if they're following or not. Don't worry, I'm not coming at you. Okay. Um, cool. Amazing. Let's go ahead. Um, See, now we understood how to create an objective. We also understood that at the end of the day, we need to know when a question is asked, what response would it give me? Because you have to analyze the data, right? So you need to know what kind of answers would this give? How to decide the number of questions. I'll come to that, Chira. Good question. Hold on to that, right? We'll finish the type of question and then I'll come to that, okay? Okay. Now there are multiple types of questions that can go into a questionnaire. The first question is multiple choice with a single select, right? So it has fixed option and only one answer. And when the answer is exclusive, so your answers are covered in the option, correct? There's no other answer apart from what's there in the option. For example, you maybe ask someone which platform do you shop on? It's Mintra, Amazon, Flipkart, or others, please specify. So if whatever, if they're using something else, for example, they're using Nika, so others Nika, right? So there is only one option that can be selected. So which platform do you shop the most? Okay. There can be only one number one. Then there can be number two, number three. So in this case, the question is single select. Okay. So whenever you want one answer and you have a list of options that you want to give, you ask a multiple choice single select. Next is multiple choice multi select. In multiple choice multi select, the type of questions that can have multiple responses, and having more than one response can be true in reality. For example, you can like multiple cuisine, right? So which cuisine do you like? Italian, Chinese, Indian, Mexican. You can like multiple. It did not ask which is your most favorite cuisine, right? Right now, it did not ask that. It asks which do you like. So you can like multiple. So these are multiple choice questions. Next is Likert scale question. It measures the attitude and the opinion. Okay. When gauging agreement or satisfaction. For example, if someone asks, thrifting is eco-friendly, how many of people agree or disagree? What are people's perception? It gives you an idea of what is an opinion of a person. So strongly agree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree, right? So these are Likert scale. Next is rating scale. Rating scale are basically you giving a rating. It's very similar to Likert scale, but here it's more about what number are you giving, right? Are you giving a rating of 5? Are you giving a rating of 10? It's very similar. Both are ordinal variable. I highly suggest you guys to study data types, understand what are nominal, ordinal, and if you do not know about type of variable, just head to our statistics decoded channel. We have created a lot of video on data types on that, so you should have everything in one place on that page. Okay. Okay. Rating scale is score high or low when you want a quick numeric evaluation of something. um, Rate the scores cleanliness. If you want someone to rate the cleanliness 1 to 10. Okay. Next is ranking. Now, ranking is ordering item by preference. So, what happens is rank the benefits of thrifting. According to you, what is the most important advantage or benefit of thrifting? Is price number one, and uniqueness number two, and sustainability number three? Or is sustainability number one, is price number two, or uniqueness number three? So that ranking will tell not only what is on the top, but it will tell you what people prefer over what. So, for example, people prefer sustainability over price, and these days, Gen Zs are into sustainability, right? Every brand, if they want to stand out, especially clothing brand, they need to give a narrative out that we are a sustainable brand, we are this, we are homegrown. So Gen Zs are more attracted towards such kind of terms, right? So you will get to know what to market. So suppose you are thinking like I have a thrift store, should I tell should I give in my marketing campaign that the lowest price possible, or should I tell in my marketing campaign than sustainable option, which will attract the customer more? So you do a survey, you understand what customers are looking for with thrifting, and then you decide on what should be in your marketing, right? So that's market research. Okay. Next is open-ended question. I already told you guys, free text. People are going to just share what are their thoughts. What are your biggest frustration while shopping? And when you don't give an option, you just let people type or say whatever they want. Next is binary type yes or no question, where only there are two possible outcome. Do you thrift monthly? Yes or no. Matrix or grid type. In this, there are information in the row and there are information in the column. So it's more like a grid where, say, for example, if there is a store, you have to rate the store for price. So, price, how much would you rate? The store score has g- good price, like price point, it is value for money. So, I'll give 5. Next option is quality. Others is the score having good quality. So next row is variety. So when all of these options are in the row and the column has the value and you select a grid pattern. So instead of having individual question on rating, can you rate the price of the store? Can you rate the quality? You have one question, but the question is asked in a grid format. Okay, so that's metrics or grid. Any questions here? Understood? These are multiple types of questions that could be asked. Any questions here? Okay. Okay. Now, how to decide how many questions to put in the questionnaire is one of the ways that I used to do it with my previous studies is first we used to design questionnaire with all the dedication, like every part of it, every logical flow of it, everything we used to create. And then what we used to do is I have created the questionnaire. So what I'll do is I'll give it to someone who has never seen the questionnaire, start the timer and see how much time it is taking for that person to fill the questionnaire. Okay. And I'll take a feedback from them that, hey, do you think that this questionnaire is too big, too small? And if the questionnaire is taking like 20, 30 minutes, Why would someone spend so much time, right? You guys are students, and mostly, like, you're not paying people, right? These studies usually pay people incentive in order to give answers. You guys are not going to do that. So nobody is going to spend 20 minutes for you. So it's very hard, right? Only the closest friends, which are hardly what, 5, 10 in this time, and closest relative, what, again, 5, 10 people, those are the people who would even give little efforts to fill your questionnaire. Others are not. So the way you decide the number of question depends upon the time that it takes to fill in the question. And ideally, if you're not giving anyone any incentive, you should only take 5 minutes of their time. So you should ensure. So number of question really depends upon time, at least for me. And also making sure everything is covered, right? Got it, Chirag? Cool. Um, Now I'm bringing back our objective in front of you again. The questionnaire aims to identify key motivation, preferences, and shopping pattern of thrift store consumers, focusing on price sensitivity, sustainability concerns, and desire for unique items. Right? Let's start. In this case, how would I start? I would start with respondents, first getting to know the respondent, the warm up and the context session, a section where I am gonna talk little bit. I'm gonna get to know the consumer better. So it's more about getting the segment or the demographics. Demographics could include age, their gender, which city they live in, what is their income, which year were they born. If you do not want to ask age group, you can ask just plain age and number. And on the back end, if you're using Google Forms or whatever you're using, SurveyMonkey or any platform, you can fit in that age cannot be less than 0 and greater than 100, or whatever logic, or age cannot be less than 15 and greater than 75. It depends. Now, thrifting, I'm only interested in people between what, 18 and 60. I'm not interested in anyone after that. So I can just not include that. So this is not only a place where this part of your questionnaire where you're going to get to know your target is not only just a place where you ask people what is their demo. It's also a place where you ensure only the people you want to know it from are filling in. I do not want, suppose I am doing a very specific study on understanding periods in girls. I do not want a gender male answering that question. So, right off the bat, if someone presses male, they're out of my survey. This is on back end what I need to do. That if someone puts male, I'm not going to ask any further question. So, this place is not only getting to know your respondent, it's also getting to know whether right target audience is filling or not. So, once you have your project objective, you need to decide the segment who will respond, correct? And you need to exclude the people who are not needed. Now, if you're going to do a study on two-wheeler, correct? If you want to study people who ride two-wheeler, you should ask question only to person who is a two-wheeler rider, right? You cannot ask people who don't ride two-wheelers. So this is again a section where you need to ask, are you a two-wheeler rider? And if someone says no, they're out. So this is a place where you put in warm-up questions, you put in your demo, understand the segment, and exclude anyone um, who is not needed to be in this part. In fact, um, okay, yeah. So you need to be very sure about that, correct? Right now, my project objective has no information or no, it doesn't care about the people who are not thrifting. So another question that could be added over here is, did you ever thrift an item? Right? Did you ever thrift an item? And the moment someone says yes or no, and if they say no, they are excluded from the survey, right? So that's about it. um so that is your filtering and getting to know part, and that part is also very important at the end when you're trying to understand. See, you'll see a pattern. For example, people who are younger care more about price than people who are older. Why? People who are older have money, people who are younger do not have money that much, correct? So you will see such kind of pattern. So if you at the end want to give any suggestion, you need to know the demos. So make sure you get capture the demo well. Make sure you filter the people well. Okay, so your first section needs to concentrate on demo and filtering out. Everyone on board? Following? Are you guys following? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, let's go ahead. Next is shopping pattern section 2, where you will understand the preferences and the habit of people. So, for our objective, I want to get to know whether how often are people purchasing. How often do you shop for clothing and accessories in general? How often do you shop in a thrift store? Which product category do you buy from thrift stores? Why? Where do you actually thrift? Where do you usually thrift? So I just want to get to know their pattern and habit when it comes to shopping in general. So for me, this would be the next part. Okay, I'm getting back to where I was. The questionnaire aims to identify key motivation, preferences, and shopping patterns. So I'm here trying to understand the shopping pattern. Okay, so that's where you keep reading the project objective and like, okay, now see, I cannot, I need to first understand how often is someone shopping. Even before asking them, why are you thrifting? Do you understand this? It's a logical sequence I'm following. I asked people, hey, who are you? What do you do? Do you thrift? How often are you shopping? What are you shopping? Do you ever go to thrift shop? Even before asking, why are you thrifting? Do you understand why this should be asked before that? So there has to be a logical flow to your questionnaire, which needs to, the only way to know this logical flow is to have common sense. Correct? A common sense that simply think about starting a conversation. You're not, if you meet a new person, what are you going to tell to that new person? You're going to introduce yourself. You're not going to tell the life's sad part, or you're not going to share a breakup story with that new person you just met, right? You're not going to do that. You're going to first talk who you are, what do you do, okay, do you like ice cream? I also like ice cream. You're going to have those small talks, and once that talk is done, you're getting into the deeper conversation. So same works for the questionnaire. Okay, you need to have a flow. It should not be that randomly a question is asked to anyone. Okay. Next section is motivation behind thrifting. Now that you have asked, okay, how often they thrift, where are they thrifting, what are they doing? Now you ask them why. You are asking them the purpose. And how do you know this is the next section? Because back of your mind, you remember your questionnaire objective. So you can ask question like, can you rank the reason why you're thrifting to least important to most important, or most important to least important? So they're gonna pick, okay, number one, price, number two, sustainability, number three, brand availability, number four, vintage looking. These days vintage are in, so people like vintage looking stuff. So next you can ask like, I thrift. So in Likert scale, you can ask, I thrift primarily to save money. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? So you give a Likert scale. I choose thrifting for environmental benefit. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? I enjoy thrifting for finding one of the kind items. Choose agree to disagree. So you can understand the motivation behind thrifting. Next, what next I would do, I would now deep dive into price sensitivity. So here's the thing. Okay, if just think about yourself. Okay, right now if I pick one of you, say what I would pick, say Riddhi. Riddhi, if I told you that if I asked you a question, okay, this is the first time you're filling in the form. I got to know your demographic, Riddhi. Now I ask you, how much does discount influence your thrifting purchase decision? Scale between 1 to 10. How much does a discount influence? Okay. What would you say, Riddhi? 10. Now imagine if I asked you this question first. And then after that, I asked you this question. Can you rank the reason for thrifting with from least to from most to least important? And you see the first option as price. What happened psychologically, Riddhi, is I asked you a question on discount. And in the next question, I'm asking you, can you rate which one is the most important? So you are now biased towards the topic of price. Do you understand? Because I was already talking about price this, price that. Now you're going to rank price number one, honestly speaking. Okay. So this can happen to a respondent as well. Agreed? So what you need to do is, if there are questions that are going to give away hints, there are sections that are very specific. Now I have a whole section on pricing. This is very specific. So then I cannot ask this question. So the user's mind need to be as fresh as possible. Just use common sense and you will realize this question needs to be the first. And later, I can deep dive into price, sustainability, unique item. Okay. So whenever you have a very specific ask, first ask a general question and then ask about that specific things. Okay. Okay. Coming back. Okay, now next is what is the average price you are willing to pay for thrifting items? So now you are actually giving the numbers, correct? So this is again not a very good question because it is also a good question because thrifting clothing item, it's in range. If you want, you can keep it open end. The moment you are going to give an open end, you can do a lot of data analysis with that. The moment you have just a numeric data, it's nice. Right now your data is in categories, correct? Under 500, 500 to 1000, 1000 to 2000, above 2000. So many times many researchers, they want one number. So what they do is 250, 750, 1500, and they'll take the midpoint of the range and then do the analysis. Anyway, think about how you would analyze when the data would come in also. Okay, cool. Now price sensitivity section is done. Next is sustainability section where you are asking like, do you ever consider environmental impact before buying clothing item? How informed are you about the sustainable fashion? Do you know what is a fast fashion? Do you agree with the concept of fast fashion? You can ask a lot of questions in this place, right? So this is again a very specific section. And why I'm having these many section? This is because of the project objective. Most of the time people are in hurry and they answer without reading the question and our conclusions go wrong. So how to filter those respondent, whether, so one of, there are multiple ways, Chirag. Let me give certain examples to that. It's an excellent question. Let me just quickly. Okay, there are two ways. One way is like you sit in front of them and make them fill the form, like what we did in our first project, where I ensured that each question was read to them. And all I was saying is, I just want to fill a questionnaire. This is for my research work of college. And especially you, college students are very patient in that sense. They'll sit and talk to you. So you go in the campus, you read the question, and then you're like, what do you think about this? And then they'll give an answer, you fill in for them. So one is DIY, do it yourself. Second one is identifying the pattern. Now, suppose there is, um, okay, suppose there is like multiple option, unique, vintage, cool, whatever. Okay, suppose there are multiple options And then people are asked for thrifting, can you rate what is the most important to you? Okay, and give a Likert scale. So suppose there is a grid type question, and there is this one respondent that says, that selects this option 5. I think price is most important. They also think sustainability is more important. They also think uniqueness is more important. They also think vintage is more important. They also think cool, it should look cool, that is also more important. This respondent has given 100% of response on one scale, correct? This respondent has not read the question. There are two, if your question doesn't have dispersion, do you understand the word dispersion? The data needs to be different to analyze. If in the world all the data was same, if every player scored the same number of goals, there is nothing you can do about it. You analyze data because data are different. So the moment there is no dispersion and everyone has a single same answer, they're not reading it. Okay. So what we used to do is we used to delete these kind of respondents. We had like this threshold of 80% where a respondent for a particular, especially these type of Likert scale question, no, if a respondent answers 80% same or more than 80% same, greater than 80% same, we used to exclude these respondent as a step of quality check. Another thing that you can do to check good responses is to check open-ended may how much efforts they have put. Okay, now many time in open-ended, people write NA, nothing, whatever, right? People do this, which is fine if it's relevant. But if it's irrelevant and people are writing this, then you know this respondent has not focused or read. So this is one way where you read the open end and understand, okay, this person is not. So basically, you are looking in their responses and trying to find why it would make sense. Okay. But for your purpose, for your project purpose, I would suggest that you guys, if you all have, say, 50 friends in your society or college, or you don't even know 50 people, you just go and just sit, speak the question on your behalf and let them fill it. Okay, so you make sure that this issue is not there, because already if this issue is there, then there's another problem, right? So, or what we had is we had like 1,000 respondents, and out of that, some of them we went like around 600, we went and we used to sit in campus like for 1 week and collect data. But some our friends and family filled online, and these guys also did not read it well. So we showed in our project, like, there were like some 1,100 respondent. After data cleaning, we did XYZ data cleaning. This is what we did. We realized that we have removed some 300 respondent, and now we have only 800. So you can showcase your data cleanings in this as well. Okay, so if you do something like this, recruiter is going to know this guy is actually analyzing data, right? When you do filtering like this. But for that, you need to have good sample size. Okay, so yeah, not a straightforward answer, Chirag, but there are like multiple things that can be done. I hope it answers something of what you asked. Make sense, Chirag? Make sense? How to decide the sample size? The sample size, see, for big studies, sample size is decided based on the budget and based on statistical test. But for you guys, you just need a sufficiently large sample size to do data analysis, which is greater than 30. So try to get data greater than 30. Okay, good data which is greater than 30, because if you want to do hypothesis testing and other statistical tests on that, you need data which is sufficiently large, correct? So that's why. So try to get data greater than 30 for you. Make sense? So next question is sustainability awareness, again, dedicated sustainability section. Preference for unique item. Next is uniqueness. What do they think? How important is uniqueness or rare item to them? For example, I really like if I find something very different, which I have not seen in market. I really, this is like, I would put this as number one. Have you ever brought an item solely because it was unique? I do that. So yes or no. So some things that can be inspired by what you do. Open end feedback, where what is the best thrifted item you have ever purchased and why did you do that? It could be like, I was maybe in Goa and there were really nice thrift store and I purchased it because it was what I needed during vacation, something like that. What would make you thrift more often? Here, it's more about open end feedback, and open end should go towards the end because you know you want to ensure that people have read through everything, and now if they think they have missed something or you have missed something to ask, people can write it there. You can have it in middle section as well. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it just, if you make people type a lot towards the beginning, they're going to get bored by this step, right? So, yep, we are done with this section of understanding type of question and when to do what. Any questions here? Any questions here? Are you guys following? Vikas, are you following? Bharat, are you following? Cool, let's go ahead. Um, Yep. So designing logical flow that keeps respondent engaged. Now, your first starting question should be really very simple, and it should not be very sensitive questions. Okay, some non-sensitive generic habit question. So what happens is when you have an easy, simple question like what's your age? What's your gender? These are some of the simpler question. It will help you build a comfort and a momentum for respondent, because the very first few question respondent is trying to figure out how the website looks like, how the interface look like, or they're just trying to have conversation with you for very initial time. They don't want you to ask some uncomfortable question. Yes, yes, Chirag. That's the reason I said, like, before you create a questionnaire, if there is a topic which is too new to you, you can just ask one or two people around you what are their thoughts, and you would get some hints from there as well. Or you could just study some papers that are being released on internet. For example, there could be multiple studies on thrift shopping on internet. You can just read and see if you have missed anything or not, just to make sure the biasness on your end is avoided. You will have to do little bit of research work as well, right? Like, especially to decide what options to give, it's a research work that needs to be put in. Okay. um Helps. So yeah, start easy. Group relatable topics together. Suppose there is a question of demos. Put all the demographic questions in one go. Put all the habit question in one go. Put all the motivation question in one go. Put all the preferences question in one go. Avoid jumping between irrelevant topic. If there is one flow going, one section is having one. So if you guys must have seen in previous section how I coupled things up, right? So it's very important to group related topic, because it's easier for them to read. Move from generic to specific. Okay. The the specific question you ask, more good analysis you would do. If there are broader question, you can ask it in open end, but make sure that you are asking very specific detailed question, because you don't want people to dissect your complex questions. The next thing comes is Place sensitive complex question later. Now see what happens is income is a sensitive topic. You are in your college campus, you meet someone for the first time, you go to them and you ask them what's your income. Not very good. Sometimes asking household income is fine. um Sometimes them, or if they don't want to answer that, you can also have, instead of getting a exact number, you can also give a range which is broad range in income. If they're not comfortable to that, you can also add an option, prefer not to say, right? So they are comfortable, and you can tell them, you don't have to answer it. If you feel like you do not want to answer it, you can just click on prefer not to say, right? So there are some sensitive question, personal opinions, in-depth reflections. So in-depth question, personal opinions, sometimes people don't want to give that. So you need to be mindful of these complex question, and if it's very important for your study, you can ask it later. Okay. End with an open end. I mentioned about this earlier as well. Now, asking irrelevant question will frustrate the respondent and lower your data quality. It's very important to ask yourself, will this answer help me? So asking how often you thrift to someone who has never thrifted is meaningless. Use it as a screening question. The moment someone says that they have never thrifted, they're out of the survey. Correct? So imagine you not having this logic and asking people about thrifting, and they're just answering because they're your relative. And you're not going to get a good response and hence not have a good data quality, right? So start with filtration question. Have you ever at thrift store in last 12 months? Sometimes you don't only want people who have thrift, you also want people who have recently thrift. Correct? So you also want to ask question like in last 12 months, in last 2 years, in last 3 years. So sometimes you want to be this specific as well. So yeah, asking filtering question is important. Now apply skip logic. Sometimes if people say that they do not look at price while shopping, asking them what is the budget for your clothing doesn't make sense because they do not look at the price. So sometimes you want to ask question, if they press an option, then ask this question. If they do not press that option, then do not ask this question. You want to do that sometimes, right? So for example, if people say that how often do you thrift, and people say no, we do not thrift. So you ask them what is the main reason you do not thrift, and then end your survey. So you can do that as well, right? So have a good skip logic where you skip at the right moment. Okay. So yeah, this is about little bit of logic flow and how to keep respondent engaged. Any questions here? Everyone following? Anyone has any doubts? Anyone has any doubt? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead. We're going to have some fun part. Now, what are some mistakes you should avoid? You should avoid asking leading question. Okay, like the example I gave in Riddhi's case, where do not ask something. Don't you agree thrifting is eco-friendly? Now, what are people going to say? Don't you agree? How important is sustainability when you shop? Okay, avoid influencing the response when you're asking a question. See, for you, sustainability might be important, for them, it might not be. Understand that you need to make the question as neutral as possible without giving hint in your question. So do not give a leading question, always give a straightforward question that avoids any sort of bias. This, why I'm saying all this will improve your data quality. Okay. uh, then don't ask questions that are double barreled, like do you shop at thrift store and online marketplaces? Don't ask it like that. You can split this question in two. Do you shop at thrift store? Do you shop at online marketplaces? Or you can ask, where do you shop? Thrift store, online marketplaces. Now, here what happens is when you ask a question that is double barreled, that means when a respondent says yes, it means they are shopping at both the places, in stores as well as online. But it may not be true. They only might be going to street shopping on stores, they are not doing it online. They're not going to online thrift stores. So what happens is, not do not give such kind of response where selecting one is difficult. So your interpretation of data will go wrong if such kind of questions is asked. So respondent may answer only a part of the question, so you should avoid that. Split it, okay, in this case. Next is overly complex or jargon heavy wording. Now, since we are talking about thrift shopping, we talk about fashion. How does the circular fashion influence your consumption pattern? What is the circular fashion? So instead of asking such fashion jargons or whatever jargons, and see your area of interest, you will use jargon. If you like football, you like um, racing, you like WWE, you whatever you like something which is so specific and unique to you, people will not know that jargon. So you should always have a very generic thought around it. So does the idea of reusing clothing affect your shopping choices? So what this happens, the second one, it's more clear, avoids the confusion, respondent, and it also reduces the chance of bad data, right? And I'll also tell you, respondent don't want to ask. Now, even if I am feeling this, I don't know what a circular fashion is. I might not like to ask you what does this mean, because who wants to tell people that they don't know something, right? So no one wants to say that. Everyone wants to be smart in front of others. So you will never know that your respondents are not able to understand this. Just make sure you use simple English, right? Don't ask too many open-ended. Open-ended leads to fatigue, lower completion rate, using, they it's very difficult to analyze. So open ends are great, use few. Okay. Unclear answer options. Now, your option needs to be exclusive when you're giving. You're asking a range 500 to 1000 to 1500. If someone is having 1000 as the answer, which option they should select? So, avoid such overlapping. Be very precise with the categories you're giving so that there's no issue while, you do coding for this, right? 500 to 1000 would be code one, 1001 to 1500 will be two, like that. Option would be there, right? So make sure that is there. So yep, we are done with this section as well. Any questions here? Are you guys learning something new? Are you guys learning some interesting tips about questionnaire? Any questions? Okay, great. Let's go ahead. Um, let's start with pre-testing, refining, preparing for analysis ready results. Okay. What is pre-testing? Your questionnaire can have sometimes wrong logic. It can have a lot of issues. So what you can do is you can send it to one or two people. In your case, in real studies, there are usually 30-40 people that questionnaire is sent to, and you can do something called as pilot study or pre-testing study, where you see if your response is getting recorded the way you want. Many times what happens is your data doesn't flow in the way you expected the data to flow in. So when you do pre-testing and you get the data, you should check every logic and it should make sense. So pre-testing can help you. So instead of you going all out at once and then realizing, oh shit, I asked this question wrong, instead of you going through that, you do a pre-test and beforehand just start looking into the data. And what happens, pre-test is also very useful. If your pre-test is pretty good, your questionnaire is very nice, you can start taking that, start sending out your questionnaire to others. But meanwhile, with the existing data, you can play around and see how would you analyze it. How would you actually do data analysis on that data? So Pretest data is also useful when it comes to, okay, now if I have the data, I'll show it this way. I'll create a pie chart, I'll do an hypothesis testing, I'll run a model. So that is also very useful. And as you go ahead and start learning statistics and models better, you will know that, okay, this question can help me with running a model. This question can help me do that. That question can help me do this. So that is also very useful to know what type of analysis can be done with the data that you're collecting. Next is refining. Make necessary changes if there is some feedback there. So you need to make the necessary changes and make it more clear. Next is preparing for analysis. Now, once you have the option and everything ready, you need to make sure your data is coming in right structure and you are easily able to code and analyze it. So start preparing for analysis as well. Okay, so that was it from my side. I hope, I think I've covered most of the part for that needs to be covered in questionnaire. You will find a lot of questionnaire template online, a lot of things, but I do understand that these small tips that we went over were not will not be covered that much on internet. It comes I have like created, I don't know what, 15, 16, 17 questionnaires in my life for actual study done by very big companies. So that really helps with whatever I've created with this PowerPoint presentation. Do you guys have any questions, any concerns, um, anything else that you want to ask? Yes, I will share the presentation. I should be able to share it on email or on the website as well. So you should find it. I will share that. Anything else do you want to ask? If it's about questionnaire, you can host your questionnaire on Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, wherever. If not, then thank you. I'll stop the recording.